Welcome to the fuckery. Came up with that name. I've been throwing around the idea to do a YouTube for a while, and I don't know. I had other names, and it just seemed appropriate. Once most anybody that's done any research can agree to that. You go back a little bit of history, and you start seeing how things don't add up, and that's about the most appropriate name that I thought I could start with anyhow. I'm just gonna do something quick today because I'm flying by the seat of my pants, and I gotta get some things together. I probably won't, be upgrading anything real quick, but I like to do some things outside, but in Georgia, and it's either 90 degrees for 3 months straight or freaking raining for monsoon for 3 freaking days straight, and now the wind's blowing like 30 miles fucking hour, so it's just like that. So anyhow, what I'm going to cover is basically history, a lot of different things. Over 12 years of research, there's just so many things that you start getting down into it, it just goes and hooks into other things, and then also you can connect things to what's going on right now. I'm up on the intel that's going on, the latest intel. Everybody has different resources and things. I think I got some pretty good sources, and with just my opinion on what's been going on just really recently is, with the people that have been deep diving, they know, a lot of these countries have been controlled by intelligence agencies. It's just how it is. It goes back to Kennedy. It goes back to Dulles. Goes back to before that. Project Paperclip. The EU is another project off that. I mean, those are where the connections can, start coming together. I'm definitely not going to have time to get into all that tonight, but I'm going to just try to do things piece by piece. But the guy that Salome, that he was taken out. Well, he was going to. Well, this is latest. Some intel anyhow is that they were gonna do a coup on the Iraqi prime minister, and they were going to take that government over, and then they were going to take over our embassy. So all this was known ahead of time. I think we got intel from China and North Korea. Of course, Russia is always helping. The deep state media wants to make them all out like they're enemies, and the deep state's enemies, and everything's kind of upside down when you really start looking at it. But anyhow, so they're freeing up Iran right now, just like they did North Korea, and Saudi Arabia was first, and many other countries. You can see them falling in line. Italy, the Pope is probably not long before he goes, and then France seems like they're on the verge. Germany will be kind of a holdout till the end, and then UK is turning. Everybody sees that with Brexit. So we have our deep state, but they're getting rolled up from the bottom, and you can see some higher level arrests happening. So anyhow, a lot of what I was going to get into is what we're looking at here is the Chicago World's Fair. To me, it's one of the tells, one of the things that they left way, way, way too much evidence on to let us. Either they thought we weren't going to look into it or we are going to believe some bullshit story. I don't know, but the story is how these buildings, you can see right here, were supposed to have been built for this World's Fair that lasted 6 months. And I don't know. I mean, it's laughable. It's freaking laughable. And you start looking at architecture around the world, and a lot of it matches up. A lot of it has that Greco style to it. Just fancy, just amazing architecture. I suppose it could be done now, but it'd be so expensive, and I don't even know some of the stuff that I'm gonna be pulling pictures and things. I don't even think it can be done now these days. So you can look at these buildings, and the whole story, the fuckery story, is that they built all these buildings for a World's Fair. This is during a time where everybody's in horse and buggy. You can see all the old pictures. It seemed like everybody wore the same suit. Any pictures that you ever see back in late 1800s, you see some signs, some tacky signs on some buildings and things, but you don't never see nobody working, no construction companies, of course. They didn't even have a quarry. I think there was one started in the early 1900s up near Vermont or upper New York, but they didn't even have quarries. And these are solid, they look like granite, marble, just impossible. It's not even reasonable. It's not even a close story. I don't even know how it got by as long as it has, other than maybe nobody just really paid any attention. Roaring 20s or whatever, or who knows what really happened 100 years ago, but that's false. You can just look at it, and these just go on, and you can see that just flipped on me, didn't it? Well, let me see what I can get here. Like I said, I'm just winging it right now, so. But you can see these old buildings, and I'm not sure exactly where that is, but, well, it's saying it's the World's Fair, Chicago's World's Fair, 1893. There's you can see like a whole city. It looks like what old Europe was supposed to look like. There's a lot of people that are saying that this country here is the old country, and they're just covering up history. And there's a lot of things that really back that theory up. You can go as far as to when the Mormons went to Salt Lake City, you're looking at 1800s, and the building that they have now was built then. It was already completed then. They added some roofing to it or added some things to it, but there's no way it was built in that short a time between, I guess they got there, I can't remember the numbers now, hundreds of people, and it's like 300 people were men or something like that. I don't know, but they would have had to have wars with the Indians and everything else, and then they would have had to build a whole city within 20 years, and those huge structures. that's another, it's another fuckery story. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. These buildings are high tech too. I mean, they look old, but they have technology that we don't have. You have to think about it. Did we invent electricity? Tesla. Everybody knows Edison didn't, but Tesla. Um, you, these buildings here, I'm going to say they're hundreds of years old. I mean, there's old maps that even show. I'm going to pull them up here pretty soon, next few videos or something. And there's a lot of map makers that show the East Coast and Chicago. It was called Chilago at the time. It was fully built out when Columbus came. It was just, it was fully built out. And I'm imagining the West Coast does too. And California was even an island. We never learned any of that. But, the timeline is kind of sketchy. I'm not real clear on that. But, I mean, it wasn't long ago. It was just 1600s. And the maps, some people would say they're allegory, but you can tell the difference because the map makers, when they sign them and they put all the detail into them, the map makers back then were highly regarded, and they weren't gonna have their names and their reputations hurt by putting out false type allegory. You can really usually tell the allegory. Which the allegory usually has some truth to it too. Anyhow, it's just kind of more cartoonish. So anyhow, I know this was short. It's probably not. It's definitely not a great video, but anyhow, it kind of hits the points that I wanted to hit at first, and hopefully I can get outside, and then maybe I can also pull together some more pictures, videos, do a better job with that. The whole thing is to try to, I remember when I first started looking at things, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, and it always takes a little while to soak in because you're like, no, because we're conditioned one way. You're conditioned that the media won't lie to you, that your government will just do for you the best you can. They wouldn't steal trillions of dollars from you. They wouldn't try to destroy your country. They wouldn't try to imprison you and things like that. But it happens all through history. And this is kind of where we're at. And I think the good guys are winning. I think it's pretty obvious at this point. And that's great for everybody. And the quicker everybody knows that it's not D's against the Democrats against Republicans, it's not race against race, it's not religion against religion. I mean, they infiltrated everything basically. And they just had fun just, pitting us against each other, and they sat back and collected money. And every war at least since Napoleon, has been financed on both sides by the same people, the same central bank system. From what I understand, that's going away too, and it has to. Everything has to be redone, everything, because it's based on a system that is Babylonian. It's goes back to Moloch, and they don't make any. Most of them doesn't even hide it that's who they worship. And anyhow, that's another long story. So anyhow, thanks for anybody that's able to watch this, share it, subscribe. I'm gonna try to keep putting them out. I've got many years of looking into this stuff, and I'm gonna try to get it out just as good as I can with, I'm just not that techie, I'm more old school, work with my hands. So anyhow, there you go. And I'll talk to you later.